Chair Danielson, we're now live.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. We'll call the meeting to order. The following meeting of the Committee of Adjustment is a public meeting to consider development proposals that do not comply with the provisions of the Township's comprehensive zoning bylaw. Our planner, Mr. O'Callaghan, will provide a brief overview of the applications, after which each applicant or their agent will have an opportunity to address the committee. Following this, anyone else who wishes to speak to the application will be given an opportunity to do so. The committee will then discuss the proposal and be given an opportunity to ask questions respecting the application. And the committee will then vote to grant, refuse, or defer the proposal. I'd like to introduce the members of the committee. We have Gary Trapp, public member, John Rogers, a public member, Chris Woods, public member, Julia Shortreed, member of council, and myself, Liz Danielson, as the chair of the committee. We also have Sean O'Callaghan, who is our planner, and David Rogers, who's our chief building official here. I would ask the committee if there are any disclosures of pecuniary interest with respect to the business at hand today. Okay, hearing none, could I have a mover and a seconder to approve the minutes of April 30th? Moved by Chris Woods, seconded by Julie Shortreed.
Moved by Chris Woods, seconded by Julia Shortreed. Be it resolved, the Committee of Adjustment hereby approves as circulated the meeting minutes of April 30th, 2021. John Rogers, yea or nay?
Yay.
Julia Shortreed, yea or nay?
Yay.
Gary Trapp, yea or nay?
Yay.
Chris Woods, yea or nay?
Yay.
And Liz Danielson, yea or nay?
Yay.
That's carried.
Okay, I don't believe we have any business arising from the minutes. We have two items of new business to look at today. The first item is Real Star JAM Corporation on Quarter Lane in Sherburne on Kawagama Lake. So if you could go over your report, Sean.
Yes, this property is located at 1016 Quarter Lane. The lands are zoned shoreline residential 2 and designated waterfront under the official plan. The property is approximately 0.47 acres in area with 45.7 meters of frontage on Kawagama Lake. Surrounding uses are generally shoreline residential, and the lands are currently developed with a dwelling, a dock, and a boathouse. The owner is proposing to demolish the existing boathouse and dock and construct a new 433 square foot boat port. The proposed boat port will project into the water 15.9 meters from the shore. The water levels in front of the subject lands are quite shallow. The requested projection of the boat port will allow for the safe docking of a vessel with adequate water depth. There is evidence of shallow water in the area, which presents extreme challenges with the safe docking of a vessel. The maximum width of the shoreline structure will not exceed 25% of the shoreline frontage. The following variance is being requested from section 4.2.9F of the zoning bylaw to permit an increase in the maximum projection of a boat port into the water from 8 meters to 15.9 meters for the purpose of constructing a 433 square foot boat port, a variance of 7.9 meters. Notice of the application was posted on the property, posted on the township website, circulated to property owners within 60 meters of the subject lands and to the Kawagama Lake Property Owners Association. No written objections have been received to date, and staff are recommending approval of the proposed minor variance.
Thank you. I'll ask the committee members if they have any questions or concerns in a minute, but I do want to point out that having viewed the property, I did come away with two concerns. And one was a fairly substantial excavation that had taken place between the house development and the waterfront. I just kind of wondered about the rationale behind that, and also the placement of the boat port. It appears that the boat port is being moved over to a more central location in front of the cottage, according to the drawings that we have. And that would require a significant amount of large trees to be removed on a slope that's quite steep. So I'm worried about slope stability there, and I'm wondering why the developer can't place the boat port in the same location as the existing, it's not a boathouse and dock.
Perhaps we can bring in the applicant's agent to answer those questions.
Okay.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Chair Danielson and committee and Sean. I'm Lanny Dennis, Wayne Simpson and Associates, and represent the owners. I'm here with Caleb Hatfield with Love Grove Construction and Design, and they are the designers and the builders of the new boat port. I think that's a fair and accurate assessment, as stated by the planner. I appreciate the efforts and assistance and working with staff to bring the application forward, and concur with the township planner to approve the application, as I believe, as to see that it passes the 4 tests of minor variance. The merits of the proposal: the additional projection required is to achieve adequate water depth for safe function of the boats. The challenge, of course, is created because of the extreme shallow water along the shoreline, and we had a water topo completed to help us with the projection that's needed to properly function for the shoreline and operate a boat. The additional length of the is a boat port and not a boathouse. So the built form that extending out is less than what you would typically see with a boathouse. The additional, all other provisions of the bylaw have been complied with. We're tidying up the shoreline by removing the existing boathouse and dock that are deteriorating. The distance of 15.9 meters is more or less in line with most municipal zoning bylaws for the extension of boat houses / ports and dock extensions. With respect to Chair's comments regarding the location of the new boathouse, or sorry, new boat port and dock, we concur. The drawing, for some reason, that was included in the package is not where we're putting the new boat port or dock. It's over on the far side, just as she suggested. That is more or less in the same location as the existing structures, and about 91 feet from the neighbor to the south. So it's pushed over towards the property to the north, which the owner of this property has an interest in the property to the north. So it's right up against another property that they own. And I agree that the access down to the shoreline is probably much better. There's less steep slopes and vegetation removal required to get down to the new location. If I can, I know you don't have a copy of the plan, and I apologize for that. But I try and hold it up in front of the camera. If you can see, it's way over to the far side.
Can everyone see that? So that is more or less where the existing boathouse is now?
That is correct. We actually, as part of this application, the existing boathouse / dock is right up against the property boundary. So we're actually correcting that encroachment. So we can't very well put it right in the same spot and correct the encroachment at the same time. So it's about, we have to meet the side yard setback, which is 20 feet, but it's more or less in the same area and sort of the same terrain to get down to the structures. So 100% bang on, best place to put it for sure.
Are there any things that we need to consider, Sean, in that the application had, the drawing in the application is not accurate?
As long as the side yard setback is being met, I don't have any issue with that revised location.
Okay. Do any other members of the committee have questions or comments they'd like to make about this application? Mr. Rogers?
It's through you, Madam Chair, just this is to me, it's obviously a permanent structure that you're constructing here. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
it's permanent, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, Sean, is there some reason why we don't ask for a surveyor's confirmation of location?
The site plan provided will comply with the side yard setbacks is what we've been advised. So typically we only require a surveyor to confirm if they are encroaching on a setback. In this case, the projection from the shoreline, we can confirm via the building plans once they're submitted.
Okay.
Other questions or comments? If I might just ask about the excavation that's taken place to remove, it's an incredible amount of sand there. I'm just wondering what the rationale was there. I know that doesn't exactly fit into this application, but you know, when we consider protecting our shorelines, it's a fairly extraordinary excavation.
You know, Kelly, close for the construction of the cottage? Yeah, I haven't been on site, Chair Danielson, for a while, so I haven't seen the sandbox or the sand pile that you have, but I mean, the site is what, pretty much sand and gravel. So I can only surmise that it's excavation as a result of the footprint that's required to build. They might have had to go a bit further because of the sandy soils, because it might sort of have that capability of caving a little bit. And there may be some sand piled up on site because maybe they ran into some material that they couldn't backfill the foundation because of the material that they pulled out. So there might be some sand there as well. I'm not the on-site guy. I can't tell you for sure, but that's what I sort of would lead me to believe that may be what's happening.
I can't make an issue of it because it's really not associated specifically with the placement of the boat port. I just, you know, it looked fairly extraordinary, and because we're in the process of considering everything that we can about shoreline preservation, I just thought I'd inquire. Otherwise, I mean, it's a pretty terrific development overall.
Oh, that's good. That's nice to hear. Thank you.
Questions from the other members of the committee? No questions? Okay, sorry, Mr. Crop.
Just clarification. So then the concern that you raised, Madam Chair, at the start about the location. So the wording of this will be altered to say more or less in the same location as the existing boathouse, I take it, because I think we're satisfied that we're going to meet the minimum side yard setback, but the concern is for the boathouse potentially going too far the other direction, if I've got my directions correct, right? So will that be suitable wording, I guess? Maybe to Sean, I guess the wording will be such that it'll be more or less in the same place. That's all we need to satisfy that?
Well, because it will meet the required setback in the bylaw, that's not something we can really include in the decision of the committee. It's not something they require a variance from.
Right, but if the boathouse were to be located in excess of the setback, maybe I've got my directions wrong, but then it would be going back more towards the direction that our chair raised initially. Is that correct? Or am I backwards on this?
They would be increasing the setback then from the side yard. The difficulty is they would still be in compliance if they put it in the center of the property. So
Right. So if we are, for example, we're not quite there yet, but if our approval is based on the same location, what's the wording we need for that then, is my question.
I'm not sure how we would attach that to the decision of the committee, because the decision is really strictly related to the variance that's being requested, which is to project the boat port out into the water.
Yeah, okay.
Now sorry, Chair Danielson, there is another person here to speak to the application.
To the application or against the application?
I believe it may be against the application, but we'll bring them in and let them provide their comments.
Okay.
Just introduce yourself.
Good afternoon. If you could identify yourself and let us know what your interest is in the property in relation to the property.
Yes, sorry, it's Patricia May. I own the property immediately to the south of this proposal. And I have a question about the variance. I do not understand why request for 52 feet is necessary. First of all, why is there a limit to the zoning of 26 feet projection out into the water? What is the purpose of that?
Yeah, so the zoning bylaw does set a maximum projection for boat houses or boat ports. However, in this case, the request has been made to extend that based on water depth in the area.
No, you misunderstood my question. So what is the purpose of establishing a 26-foot projection limit in the zoning bylaw? What is the purpose? Is it environmental? Is it conserve the water? What is the purpose initially? What is the purpose of putting in this length of 26 feet?
Well,
What is the purpose?
it would be to keep those structures closer to land, so they're not projecting out into the water.
Right? And is that it? Is that the only reason?
That's what I would say off the top of my head, yes.
Okay, and how was it established that it's 26 feet? Why wasn't the zoning granted to make it 35 feet, 42 feet, 59 feet? How was the number of 26 feet established?
I'm sorry, I wouldn't be able to answer that question. It did go through a public process when the zoning bylaw was established. And that's.
I would say that normally when decisions like that are made, the planner and the council of the day look at other examples in other municipalities, at best practices based on water depths, and make their decision based on that.
Okay, and that applies to everyone along the same shoreline, that same distance?
Yes, unless there are
Okay.
Extenuating circumstances.
Okay, so like, I do not understand why this request for 52 is necessary. I have the same beach, I have the same water depth as these people do, and we have a boat, we've been docking there for 25 years, no problem. There's no problem with the water. The water goes down in the fall at everyone's dock when they release the dam. The water is up all summer long, there's no problem. There's no problem. We have the same beach, and we have a big boat. We have no problem with it. When the water goes down in the fall, as it does with every dock on Coagama, everybody's dock goes down, everybody's water depth goes down. So you adjust your boat accordingly. So there's no problem with docking a boat. They have their property next door, the Silvertown's property next door. They dock their boat there all the time when the water goes down, no problem. Like, I don't understand why this request for 52 feet, doubling the distance out into the water permanently. Why? Why is it necessary? Everyone else along the shore complies with the regulation. And if you need more room, everyone has a floating dock. That's a simple solution. Simple solution. You want a permanent dock twice the distance out in the water. Are you bringing in a yacht? Are you bringing in a cabin cruiser that you need 10-foot depth of water? Really?
What is your specific?
All the boats. I'm against this extension of 52 feet.
Because?
I don't feel it's necessary, and it could impact me. And if they put a building on it, it could impact my view from my beach.
If the representative of the developer would like to respond to that?
Sure. In terms of the justification, I had gone through that already, and I don't know whether or not Miss May was around for the for my description or narrative regarding the distance out in the water. There was a topo survey done. We are probably at, I would say, just under 5 feet, around 5 feet at the back of the boathouse. And with the nose of the boat that's going into the front of the boathouse, it's about 3 feet. My apologies, it's about 4 feet at the back of the boathouse. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
at the nose of the slip, it's 3 feet during the summer.
Yeah, so the nose of the boat is at 3 feet, and the back of the boat will be about, I'm guessing somewhere between 4.5 to 5 feet. I don't think it's an unusually large slip. It's 26 feet long. The 3 foot mark is probably about, I would say, same distance out from the shore. So about 25 feet out from shore, you hit 3 feet of water. And quite frankly, in terms of the zoning bylaw, 26 feet is rather restrictive, if you want to say, with respect to the projection of a boathouse or a dock out into the water. I suspect maybe part of the rationale might have been that, let's keep the buildings close to shore, select a number that's fairly small, and base any further decisions about the projection of boathouses by having to go through a minor variance or a rezoning process to recognize the increased distance out from the shoreline. And not every shoreline is exactly the same either in terms of its depth. I think generally speaking, there could be some shallow water along the shoreline of cottages in this area. But where you achieve the proper water depth and the functionability for a boat may differ from one property to the next. I mean, I've seen that before on other properties where one is extremely shallow and then another one further down in the same stretch of shoreline drops off a bit more quickly. So it's all based on its site-specific circumstances. There's a lot of thought, if you will, in terms of the design that they'd like to move forward with. And part of the design was to purposefully move the new boat port and dock as far away from your property, Miss May, as we possibly could. It'll be about 92 feet from the edge of your property boundary. There was thought at one time it was going to be in the middle, but we've pushed it way over to the far edge of the property. So we sort of took your lot into consideration, and being respectful to your property, wanted to move it as far away as we possibly could. It's a boat port, which means it's a little bit more transparent than a boathouse. It doesn't have walls. So the idea there would be see more of the natural environment and less built form out over the water. I think there's a big difference between putting walls up versus having see-through walls, if you will, with respect to the built form that's proposed on the property. There's no other zoning. There's no other request for relief under the zoning bylaw. It's just simply the projection and where they'd like to locate the boat slip. It's necessary to meet the proper water depth to allow them to get adequate depth of water and provide for the proper function of a boathouse. So I think I hopefully I've answered your question to a point. But that's the rationale, and that's where we're at right now.
Well, I
Questions?
disagree.
If you, excuse me, if we could just hear any other questions that we might have from the committee members, and we'll let you speak again, Ms. May.
Okay.
Mr. Woods?
What is the depth of the water at low water? And so when the dam has been released or whatever it is, what is the depth at the 50 feet distance out? What is the depth in the water to the for a boat? Do you understand what I'm asking?
Yeah, just,
4.5 feet.
well, I wouldn't know it when the water's at its lowest point.
Oh,
Or
geez.
Hey, would you say
pretty low,
4
I'd
feet?
imagine.
Yeah, I mean, we did the summer level, but if it drops a couple of feet,
Well, what is it? What is the normal summer level?
The normal summer level at the back of the boathouse, I would say,
Could it be?
is about between 4.5 to 5 feet.
So if somebody was out there that's standing, they would be up to their chest.
Yeah,
So any boat that is of any significant engine will be very close to the bottom, particularly if it drops another foot or so.
Sure, yeah.
I would say that's correct. I know what you're coming from. I forget the terminology for a boat, but it's the draft, the motor that sticks down into the water. Yeah.
My son-in-law has a boat that is in the same predicament, and his dock has had to be extended for the exact same reason because of that. I just wanted to find out what the depth was. Thank you.
Mr. Rogers, you had a question.
It's through you, Madam Chair. When I did the site inspection, the property that your owner has an interest in to the north, there is already a dock in place, and there is a boat with that was attached to that dock or moored to that dock. Is it over the appropriate length, or is there some? It seemed to me that was my question, was why do you need something to extend the your length of your structure when the property next door doesn't seem to have the need to do the same thing?
Yeah, I didn't take a look at the projection or the water depth on the property to the north. As I said, in my mind, in my experience, the water depth sort of changes, if you will. It's difficult to just do a broad brush statement and say, well, it's this depth all the way across that stretch of shoreline.
Are we talking the north, the
Yep.
property up to the north? That's Macomb Point?
Oh, just to clarify, Mr. Rogers, through you, Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
Is it the property to the north?
Well, I think it's the new property to the north. I've got the directions correctly going. That's
I believe that dock is fairly projected out over the water. Like I'd say in the area of 60 feet. I don't recall the precise number, but I do believe that dock projects a fair bit out over the water from the shore. And then there's a dryland boathouse that sits there.
okay. So that's the answer then, is you've got a dryland boathouse and the dock is what's extending.
Yes.
Okay.
On that particular property to the north of this property that we're currently speaking about.
Are there other questions from the committee members at this point in time? Ms. May, you wish to speak again?
Yes, I disagree with their analysis of water depth. in the springtime, like if you go out now into the 1st of July, the water out at where their projection would be over my head, and I am 5'6.5". And it stays that way most of the summer up until maybe the last week of August when they start letting the water out. And there is no way it's down to, at that depth out there. I have a diving dock out there as well, and we dive. So it's not 4 feet like you claim it is. We start letting the water out, it goes down maybe to 4 feet, but not lower that you claim 3 feet. No. I walk out there. I walk across the property. I walk along there, cleaning up branches and cleaning out the water. I walk there. I know the depth of the water, and it's deeper than what you're saying. And at that property where you want this extension, it's actually deeper than it is at my property. So your water depths are not accurate. And there is no need to have this extension go a permanent extension, 52 feet. Come on, that's not necessary. If you need an extension other than the regular zoning, put in a floating dock like everyone else does. But that's not hard. That's not hard to do. Why is there a variance necessary? Like it's, what's the point of having zoning rules then? What's the point? The beach is exactly the same, all of the properties all along. I can walk it, I can swim it, I can, we have a diving dock, we dive. We don't dive in 4 feet of water. I'm sorry.
First of all, I would say that that these gentlemen say that they've done some topographical work, which would give us a fairly accurate idea of the depth of the water where they're talking about. Second of all, the purpose of this committee is to address issues that the zoning bylaw do not. There are always extenuating circumstances associated with development, and this process allows someone to come in and have I'm sorry, the word's not coming to me, but to be able to do something a little bit outside of the guidelines of the zoning bylaw. That's what we're here to decide. I've got to ask if committee members have any more concerns or questions about this. And if you gentlemen have any more, okay, go ahead, Mr. Trapp.
Well, again, sorry to repeat, Madam Chair, but just, I guess when we get to the wording here, I'm still concerned how we're going to word this based on the fact that the diagram, the application location for the boat port does not coincide with what we're talking about. Are we going to be modifying the wording to the application?
Well, our planner says no, but I've got to say, unless I am confident that the dock is going to be placed in more or less the same location as the existing boathouse and dock, I won't support it.
Well, and I guess that's what I'm getting at. It's not so much the actual footage of the side yard setback. It was the issues that you raised, Madam Chair, initially, that if it were to be located as the application shows, then that would seem that there would be significant more disruption to the landscape there, possibly to put it in that place. I think it's got to be a simple fix to modify the wording to coincide with what the applicant is saying, that it's going to be more or less in the same location, regardless of what the, setback specifications, which are also going to be met. So that's the only concern I have is how do we protect the location of the boathouse, or of the port to the, the existing boathouse.
One thing that comes to mind we could do is include in the conditions that the minimum side yard setback from the southerly interior side lot line be increased from 6 meters to approximately 20 meters, which would push it over to that area of the lot.
Where the existing boathouse is.
Correct.
And again, Madam Chair, just not trying to alter or put any restrictions around side yard setbacks, but we're trying to deal with the fact that the application doesn't agree with what the applicant is saying they're going to do. That's all. So whatever the best way is to handle that.
Do other members of the committee have any concerns with some change in wording to further pin down the more accurate location of the dock? Yes or no? No issues? Okay. So have you got something that you can read to us, Sean, or do you need a minute?
Well, I guess I'll need clarification if the committee would be interested in having that condition added, increasing the interior side yard.
Well, that's what I just asked them. At least I think that's what I just asked them, and no one has any issue
Okay,
with adding that wording.
okay,
Just to let you know, Mrs. May, that we still need to vote on this. And if the vote goes in such a way that you disagree with, there is a 20-day appeal period within which you can continue to appeal the application. But I wouldn't want to say at this point in time how the vote's going to go. It's not my place to predetermine that.
okay, so there, I do have a resolution prepared. I'll just need a mover and a second.
Could I have a mover and a seconder to put the resolution on the floor? Councillor Shortreed, seconded by Mr. Trapp.
Moved by Julia Shortreed, seconded by Gary Trapp. Be it resolved, the Committee of Adjustment hereby approves minor variance application AHMB 00821 to seek relief from section 4.2.9F of the zoning bylaw to permit an increase in the maximum projection of a boat port into the water from 8 meters to 15.9 meters for the purpose of constructing a 433 square foot boat port. John Rogers, yea or nay?
That does not address the issue of the setback or the side yard setback or the location.
Okay, I misunderstood. So you do want the condition added?
Yes.
Would you like me to reread the resolution or just the condition that's been added?
If you would just read the condition that's.
So the condition would be that the southerly interior side yard setback be a minimum of 20 meters for the proposed boat port.
How does the builder feel about that?
That's fine.
Yeah, that's okay.
I've got my directions confused. Okay, if we could have a vote on that, if you call for the vote, please, Sean.
Yes, so John Rogers, yea or nay?
Nay.
Sorry, was that a nay?
Yes, it was.
That's correct. There's a nay.
Julia Shortreed, yea or nay?
Yay.
Gary Trapp, yea or nay?
Yay.
Chris Woods, yea or nay?
Yay.
And Liz Danielson, yea or nay?
Yay.
That's carried.
So to gentlemen, your application has been given approval. There is a 20-day appeal period. So no construction or action can take place until after that time. And if you wish to formally appeal the decision of the committee, Mrs. May, that gives you that time frame within which to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair Danielson, committee, and Sean, for your time this afternoon.
Thank
Okay,
you very much.
thank
Thanks.
you. All right, the next item is Bowman on Pinot Lake, Pinot Lane on Wren Lake.
Yes, this property is located at 1054 Pinot Lane. The subject lands are zoned shoreline residential 2 and designated waterfront under the official plan. The property is approximately 0.45 acres in area with 30.5 meters of frontage on Wren Lake. Surrounding uses are generally shoreline residential. The lands are currently developed with a single-family dwelling, a shed, a dock, and a privy. The applicants are proposing to demolish the existing dwelling and construct a new 1,280 square foot dwelling. The proposed dwelling will be constructed in the same general footprint as the existing dwelling and will be no closer to the high water mark than the existing dwelling. Existing site infrastructure, including the driveway, a private right-of-way, limit the building location for the proposed dwelling that would comply with the zoning bylaw requirements. The following minor variance is being requested from section 4.10.53 of the zoning bylaw to permit a reduction in the required setback from the high water mark from 15 meters to 12.85 meters for the purpose of constructing a 1,280 square foot dwelling. Notice of the application was posted on the property, posted on the township website, circulated to property owners within 60 meters of the subject lands and to the Ren Lake Property Owners Association. No objections have been received to date, and staff would recommend approval of the proposed minor variance with the following conditions. One, that confirmation be provided from an Ontario land surveyor that the proposed dwelling is not located closer than 12.85 meters from the high water mark prior to any clearing or site alteration or the issuance of a building permit. Two, that any on-site sewage system permits and reviews required by the township have been obtained and approved prior to the issuance of a building permit. And three, that appropriate construction mitigation measures be implemented, which shall include the erection and maintenance of silt fencing between the proposed building and the shoreline.
Excuse me. Thank you, Sean. Do any members of the committee have any questions of Sean at this point? Is there anyone present representing, or are the owners present, or anyone present representing the owners that wish to speak to the application?
Yes, I believe both the owners and the agents are here, so we'll bring them in.
Good afternoon, Mr. and Mrs. Bowman. I hope I'm correct in that. If I believe you're on mute, so if you wish to just to speak to the application at all.
Okay, no problem. Here we are. Can you hear us?
Yep.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yes, Madam Chair and committee, we are seeking the approval, like Sean had mentioned. Present building is actually a little bit closer to the water than what we're proposing. It's about 7 feet closer than where we are now.
Yep.
Yeah. So the reason for it again is because of the slope of the land. We can't go any further back than we'd like to go, actually further back, but because of the slope of the land and the driveway, kind of restricts how far back we can go, basically.
Do the committee, any of the committee members have questions of the owners? I see that we have another couple here. Do you wish to speak to the application? You're on mute. If you could identify yourselves and what your relationship is to the property.
Oh, hi, my name's Steve Mantle, and this is Jane Harrison. We're with Linwood Homes, and we're just representing the Bowmans. I don't have any further comments other than it was just a very difficult lot to work with, like many in the Haliburton County area.
Any questions or concerns from the committee? Well, hearing none, we will ask a mover and a seconder to put the resolution on the floor. Could I have a mover and a seconder, Mr. Rogers and Councillor Shortreed.
Moved by John Rogers, seconded by Julia Shortreed. Be it resolved, the Committee of Adjustment hereby approves minor variance application HMB 1021 to seek relief from section 4.10.5 3 of the zoning bylaw to permit a reduction in the required setback from the high water mark from 15 meters to 12.85 meters for the purpose of constructing a 1,280 square foot dwelling, subject to the following conditions. One, that confirmation be provided from an Ontario land surveyor that the proposed dwelling is not located closer than 12.85 meters from the high water mark prior to any clearing or site alteration or the issuance of a building permit. 2, that any on-site sewage system permits and reviews required by the township have been obtained and approved prior to the issuance of a building permit. And 3, that appropriate construction mitigation measures be implemented, which shall include the erection and maintenance of silt fencing located between the proposed building and the shoreline. John Rogers, yea or nay?
Yay.
Julia Shortreed, yea or nay?
Yay.
Gary Trapp, yea or nay?
Yay.
Chris Woods, yea or nay?
Yay.
And Liz Danielson, yea or nay?
Yay.
That's carried.
Well, your application has been approved. Just keep in mind that there is a 20-day appeal period before you can start construction or any development on the land. I wish you good luck in the development of your new Linwood home.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee.
Thank you for your time.
Well, that concludes the business of the day for the committee. I'm assuming that you probably have some applications for us to look at in June.
Yes, you assume correctly. So I believe the last Friday in June, that would be the 25th.
Does that date work for the committee?
Yes.
Should be okay.
Me too.
Okay. You never know, the province might set us free and we could actually do something by then, but I don't want to hold.
Unless I'm getting my shot that day.
Okay, so if there's no further business, if we could have a motion to adjourn. Moved by Gary Trapp, seconded by Julie Shortreed.
Moved by Gary Trapp, seconded by Julie Shortreed. Be it resolved, the Committee of Adjustment hereby adjourns its regular meeting at 1:46 p.m. John Rogers.
Oh, sorry.
John
Hey.
Rogers, yea or nay?
Yay.
Julia Shortreed, yea or nay?
Yay.
Gary Trapp, yea or nay?
Yay.
Chris Woods, yea or nay?
Yay.
And Liz Danielson, yea or nay?
No, I want to stay here. No, yeah. Yay.
That's carried.
Thank
Can I ask a question just before we go?
absolutely.
And it was a really quite a good question that the lady proposed there. Says, why the restriction of whatever the distance is from the shore, where that came from and why does it exist? Because that's got to be a big problem throughout all the lakes in Halliburton. Why a particular distance has been picked? Because that question could pose a real problem for us in the future.
As it happens right now, we are presently reviewing our zoning bylaw. And I think that that's a good question to pose or bring up during our discussions, because you're absolutely right. I mean, we're experiencing extraordinary water levels this year. And if that's going to be the beginning of the norm, we're going to have a problem.
Well, you're going to have issues related to docks extending out into the water. One from a depth standpoint, and I know, as I was saying before, my son-in-law has that problem, and if the water level in our lake drops any significance, his boat's going to be hitting the bottom.
Yeah.
And he's already extended. So
Well, and there are lakes in the southern part of the municipality that I'm not sure that people can put their boats in, period.
right.
Excuse me, can I leave? I got another Zoom meeting in like 8 minutes. Does
We're-
anybody mind?
We're adjourned, so you're free to go. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, guys. See you later.
Yeah.
Bye.
So Sean, you might make a note that that's something that we might want to just bring up to council as something that we need to look at.
Yes, certainly the projection of boat houses and boat ports.
But I think the difference though, Sean, if I understand it correctly, is docks don't have the same issue. So if somebody wants to push a dock out, and when I looked at the Google Maps of that Macomb or the Quarter Lane, there's some dock there that looks like it is 60 feet out into the water. I mean, if you want to dock your boat, you put your dock way out, but this application today, and I think, and I agree, I think it's something that the township has to look at was for a structure. It was for a boathouse or a boat port. So there is a distinction there, and thank you, Sean, for putting it into your report about the different municipalities, legacy municipalities having had different requirements for boat structures, and that I think that's, to you, Madam Chair, that's where the council is going to have to grapple with that issue about, do you grandfather or do you try to make a consistent bylaw throughout the whole municipality, which accommodates or looks at those issues about lower water levels generally seems to be the case right at the moment.
Well, and I've got to say one other issue is that we do have different policies and things that we allow in different parts of the municipality. I personally have a problem with that. I think that if we're going to have policies that they should be across the entire municipality. And that's another thing that we're going to have to discuss and grapple with and see where we land.
Sorry, just a matter of point. We are technically still meeting now, so we have adjourned. It's good conversation, but unfortunately, I think it might be a little out of order. Apologies.
My apologies for bringing it up.
Okay. I'm happy to discuss this for sure outside of the committee meeting.
Okay, well, we
Okay.
stand adjourned, gentlemen, and I'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You.